You know what? The boss is on time.
I hope the boss is always on time.
I'm excited, man.
Do we have Dana?
What's up, guys?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
What's up, Dana?
Fantastic. How are you?
Very good. Are you just kind of getting some last minute things together? This is a huge weekend coming up.
Yeah, you could say that. We're not really getting any last-minute things together on this. We're working on the rest of the year. That's what's driving me crazy.
Okay, we should start there then, because John Jones obviously was in Vegas at UFC headquarters, and can you shed a little bit of light on what he might be doing there? He's got to be talking about something upcoming.
Well, obviously he's talking about coming back, and what he's thinking about doing and what he wants to accomplish in his return. So. But first, he's got to get in shape. The guy hasn't fought in a while, so we are looking at hopefully December 29th.
Oh, okay. And here's my theory, but I'm known to be stupid. Now, obviously, DC is fighting Brock for the heavyweight championship. I don't see DC wanting to go back to light heavyweight, especially for a third fight with Jones when he's lost twice. So here's what I guess is. The fight is going to be he's going to vacate the belt. They're going to give an interim belt to Gustafsson. Jones are going to fight for an interim belt. And then DC is saying he will only fight Jones if he comes up to heavyweight. That's my guess.
You couldn't be more wrong.
I think, I wish you could have shut me up faster, but Dana's like, all right, let me let this asshole just get his whole theory out.
No, so listen, to be fair to you, that makes a lot of sense, but things don't always make sense in this business.
Yes.
Cormier is hurt right now. He broke his hand in the Stipe fight. So when they're in these type of situations, much like the Conor situation and others that it's happened to, George St. Pierre or whatever, Cormier, by tying up two belts, is going to have to give up one of the belts.
Right.
And, obviously he wants one of these fights at heavyweights, but the exact opposite of what you think. He wants to fight John Jones and beat John Jones at 205.
Oh.
Yeah. Not that that's going to happen, but that's what he wants in a perfect world. I would obviously rather see them fight at heavyweight, but I don't know if John Jones really wants to move up to heavyweight yet. So it's all still, it hasn't really played out yet. First of all, John Jones needs to get in shape, needs to fight, needs to have a comeback fight, and then we'll figure out where he's going to go from there. So to try to predict the future on that one isn't even worth it.
And Danny, can you shed a little light too? Because there's all this talk about what John did for USADA. They're saying it was an accidental taking of the supplement. It did not help his performance. But now there's speculation as to what his level of help was. Was he snitching on people? Do you have any insight on that?
Is he a snitch?
First of all, I don't know anything about this snitching stuff. I don't know anything about this. But this sport always seems to stir up some type of drama, okay? Always some drama with something going on around here. First of all, there has been a problem, a big problem. USADA's testing is so good that they're picking up tainted supplements, okay? And you see it just happened to Sugar Sean O'Malley. If there's one guy on planet fucking Earth that is not using performance-enhancing drugs, it is Sugar Sean O'Malley. So it's something that we're trying to work on right now. And believe me, we can get Jeff Nowitzki on here who could explain this stuff a lot better than I can. I'm not even going to try to attempt to talk about the drug testing and what's going on, but it is a problem right now. And the way that they find this out is because they test the levels. They test how much of it you have in your body. That's how they can tell whether it's a tainted supplement or you actually did the stuff.
And now you guys are now no longer going to announce these violations until the person has been found guilty. But they also, I guess Hunter said that they will not be allowed to fight until their case is resolved. So what do you think is, like, and Sean O'Malley announced this himself, but say Sean O'Malley had not announced this. How would the UFC have handled him not being able to fight Quinones?
Yeah, it is what it is. The problem is with letting everybody know before the guy is actually, you're guilty. Then everybody just looks at you like you're guilty. He did it. I don't believe him. And it's not fair. If you end up with a tainted supplement, it's not fair.
So do you, when these things happen, if you're not going to announce that it's a possible USADA violation, will the fighter be allowed to handle it as they will, or what will the UFC say? If they had to pull him off the card the week before, how would you guys handle that if he hadn't said it himself?
Well, that kind of stuff happens all the time. People fall off cards all the time.
Okay.
It's not abnormal. So,
Okay, so it wouldn't be that big a deal.
I don't think so, but who knows?
And now you called. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
Go ahead. No, it's all good.
You said something interesting about Conor, because I was watching Conor and Khabib kind of go back and forth, and I think Nate Diaz is fairly unrattleable, but Khabib seemed to be rattled a little bit when Conor was asking him things like about the picture with Putin, and Khabib was going, "Let me explain. I'll explain." Like he was almost jumping into Conor's world. Is that kind of what you meant when you said he was so good at mental warfare and better than Ali?
Absolutely. He's actually, you could tell that as the press conference started that Khabib had the mindset, listen, this is what I expected. I'm not going to play this guy's game. I'm not going to go into this. And before you knew it, they were going back and forth like crazy.
Yeah, because it's like, why is he allowing? What he should have done was instead of telling Conor I don't drink, he should have taken the whiskey and dumped it on the floor. I mean, that would have been a way to handle it. But he seemed like he was a little bit defensive. And look, I mean, Khabib is undefeated. He's 26-0. But could it be that a moment of this magnitude is somehow weighing on him as well?
It's impossible not to. I don't care who you are or what your deal is. This fight is massive. I mean. This thing is breaking all the records we've ever had. If you think about that press conference, right? Mayweather versus McGregor. The biggest press conference we had was London, okay? That thing, over the last year, that thing's pulled 4.7 million views on YouTube. This press conference we just did for 229 is at 4.2 million views.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, this thing, it's the data and the numbers that are coming in on this thing are bigger than anything we've ever done by 2.5, 3 times.
You also, they are fighting. Now, obviously, the co-main is Tony Ferguson against Anthony Pettis, which has big title implications. It's an incredible fight. So was there a little strategy to that? Like, God forbid one of these guys can't make it. God forbid the doctors stop Khabib during the weight cut. Was that part of the strategy besides the fact it's a great fight?
Yeah, absolutely. We always try to, when we have fights that are so big, we always try to back them up. Both Khabib and Conor have shown that when guys fall out, they'll still fight. There's people out there that are crazy and don't do it. Conor McGregor always steps up when somebody falls out, and Khabib has too. So we got Tony and Pettis in the wings if anything goes on. And it's a great fight, like you said.
And what happened? Let's say, again, I'm not putting any kind of a whammy on Khabib. I'm just saying, let's assume because, Conor is the bigger fighter as far as recognition and draw is concerned, and Khabib is the champion. So if, God forbid, the fighters, or something happened, he poked his eye, whatever the fuck happens, and he can't fight, do you have Conor fight one of those guys for an interim belt? Because I know you want a title fight. Or do you how do you handle that? Because you still have a healthy Conor.
What are you saying?
I'm talking a lot. I really annoyed Dana. Let's just say for some reason, you never want the boss asking you a question that way. Let's say Khabib for some reason is unable to compete. Let's just say it's an injury, whatever. And you have a belt there. What do you do with Conor? Do you have him fight Ferguson or Pettis for an interim belt?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, you do for an interim because Nico Montana was stripped, but you would not strip Khabib.
The Nico thing was a lot different. That was a lot different. I don't know. I off the top of my head, I don't know. Why are you being so negative?
I'm not at all.
Why all the negativity? Why are you trying to cancel this fight?
Not at all. Are you kidding me? I was heartbroken when Ferguson fell over that thing. But I'm just trying to figure out what jockeying for position and what would possibly happen.
I have no idea. I'm not even thinking about crazy shit like that. I don't even want those type of things to come out of my mouth. I don't know. We'd have to deal with that when it happened.
I'm taking a turn at a negativeville. Listen, let me, Dana, we haven't really heard too much recently about Max Holloway, his situation.
Oh, that's not a negative. Good job.
I want to know what's going on with the featherweight champ. Is he all right?
Yeah, he's good. He's good. He'll be back. He's headlining December 8th.
Shoot. So him versus Ortega is going to be, that title fight's on December 8th?
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Was that announced yet?
I don't know. That was announced, or are you announcing that?
I don't know either. Okay. Yes. You asked me, I'm telling you.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully that's breaking news.
And now Poirier and Diaz have been kind of going back and forth. They keep talking about this non-existent 165. Has that been talked about seriously, or is it just these guys or one of these guys trying to get a title fight, like some sort of a title fight that night?
Yeah, that was something that Nate Diaz came out with. Obviously he had asked, first of all, Nate Diaz already signed a bout agreement to be the co-main event in New York, to fight a 3-round fight against Poirier in New York City at Madison Square Garden. That's already a done deal. It's already been signed. It's a done deal.
At 155, Dana?
Yeah, 155. 155.
Yeah.
Then this whole thing he starts coming out, thank you for giving me the 165-pound title shot and all this stuff. And you can imagine our phones start blowing up. And it was never true. Never, ever was that talked about. He asked for it, and we told him no. None of that was ever true.
And Derek Lewis, he said his back was bothering him against Ngannou. And he's now, Ngannou is fighting, Curtis Blades, I think. And now we have, Derek Lewis is on this main card against Volkov. Was that because you guys believed his back was hurt and that he criticized his own performance and you figured he's ready to come back?
No, we took him in, and I'm sure you saw I think he posted on his Instagram that he actually got some stuff done for his back and said he hasn't felt this good in years. So,
that's awesome.
But he was ready to come back and fight.
What did he have done? Do you know?
I don't know.
All right, because I remember hearing that. Now, Greg Hardy returned to the cage, and a lot of people, because everyone loves just like a heavyweight that just punches a hole through a wall, which was Ngannou's big appeal too. There's something about watching a guy who can punch you through a wall that everybody likes, and he's now 3-0. He had hammer fists, and what are you thinking about finally bringing him up, or is he just not ready yet?
Yeah, no, that was an impressive win. The other wins he's had, he's been there with guys standing there trading. And he ends up catching him and knocking him out. This one, he actually gets his back, controls the arm, and starts hammer fisting him. Very impressive. He's a guy that will continue to bring up, continue to, get him fights, and we'll make the decision when he's finally ready to come to the UFC. And
also, Tyron. Do you think Tyron fights Colby next, or because Kamaru Usman is kind of waiting in the wings? But Colby was the interim champion. What do you think happens next for the welterweight belt?
Yeah, we're looking at that. Woodley has a thumb injury,
right?
And we're working on that division right now with some interesting matchups with guys like RDA, Wonder Boy, Robbie Lawler is looking to return at the end of the year. Usman. So, Ponzinibbio, who's ranked number 10, has a fight coming up soon. So, yeah, we're getting that division moving.
And the fight that everybody had been talking about for so long was TJ against Mighty Mouse. Then Mighty Mouse loses to Cejudo. So now people are saying, well, is TJ going to go down, and is he going to fight? What do you see happening in that division? Has that been talked? I don't think people have talked as much about Henry Cejudo, but then again, he just became the champion.
Yeah, I think Cejudo moves up and fights Dillashaw. That's what I think happens.
Oh, he's going to move up? Okay, so TJ's not going to go for a second belt?
No.
And you've commented on this, I believe, but you've hypothetically, it's been talked about. How do you feel about Chuck fighting Tito again?
I don't love it. Chuck Liddell is a guy that I care about. This is a young man's game. I mean, you see it in some of these fights that are happening right now. Old people shouldn't be fighting.
Right.
All right. It's just human nature, human physics. Old people shouldn't be fighting. This is a young man's game. You always want to see who the best is, but what are you going to do? He's a grown man. He can do whatever he wants to do.
Sure.
If he wants to continue to fight, and an athletic commission will actually approve it, which is more mind-boggling than the fight itself. Then what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Ali fighting, I guess Larry Holmes, and I think he fought Trevor Berbick at that time. He got pretty banged up in those last couple of fights.
That's where Ali took most of his damage. It was in the later years of his career. You can't move the way you moved when you were younger, and just nothing works when you're young. And when you're 50 years old, you don't need to be fighting when you're 50 years old, man. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to say anything I hope Chuck makes a bunch of money and all that stuff, but
sure.
I just don't think that, and one of the bigger problems is the punishment you take getting ready for the fight.
That's one of the biggest things. That's what I feel. Like, I still feel
100%.
I could hurt some people, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm getting through a camp in one piece.
True.
It's hard enough when you're young, running hills and whatnot.
Exactly.
You know,
the stuff that you have to do to get ready for a fight, it's not for old people, man. It's just not. And that's the other thing too. An athlete, get these guys like you, Matt. I mean, these guys that have fought at this level don't want to hear that they're old and don't want to, but reality is a motherfucker.
No, it sure is, and I understand some of these guys. It's really hard for their next chapter of their life because it's not nearly as exciting for a lot of these people as being under the bright lights. But
well, that's the other thing. As we start to get into our 50s, I'll be 50 next year, and as we start, Chuck will too. Chuck's almost 50, so as you start to turn 50, you have to start thinking about, your health and your body completely changes when you turn 50, and it's just, you shouldn't be fighting. You absolutely, fuck fighting. You shouldn't even be sparring, shouldn't be doing anything. And Chuck Liddell has nothing to prove. Chuck Liddell he didn't beat Tito Ortiz, he stomped Tito Ortiz twice. 2 times. So I just don't get it.
Yeah, and you do change. I turned 50 in July, and my torso looks like a sock with shit in it. I'm so disgusted with the way I have been eating and my lack of ability to burn fat. Logan Paul, of course, responded to your comments that he would get murdered in the UFC and hurt, and you'd be arrested if you ever let him fight. And do you have any response to that, or are you just kind of done with Logan?
I didn't. What did he say? I don't even know what he said.
He said, he goes, damn, you're thinking real simple, D. He would get hurt badly. You let CM fight. Stop acting like you do it for the sport. Paycheck equals fight. You have no idea what I'm capable of.
Yeah. Yeah. When I said it, I knew that's what people were going to throw up, that I let CM Punk fight. But CM Punk was
he's an athlete.
People knew who, not that this kid doesn't, he built a great business for himself, and I get it. He's on YouTube and the kid's making a ton of money. Good for him. But and fighting's a whole nother thing. You come in here and you want to fight these guys. You just fought some guy that plays video games to a draw. All right?
It's fucking good.
The guy plays video games for a living, and you fought him to a draw. Let's not get crazy here.
But it's also true. CM, even though he wasn't fighting, he was still an athlete, and he was still, in WWE, you still are at least training physically, and you are doing something physical.
Yeah,
exactly. And CM Punk went deep into camp with these guys, and even though his showing in the sport wasn't well, the people that he trained with and came up with him respected him very much. The guy really worked hard and gave it a shot. This kid's making YouTube videos and fights a video game guy to a draw. I just, I get it. Everybody wants to look and think that they can step in there and fight. I think the kid gets hurt badly. And he better stop talking, or I'll put him in there.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, you already gave the warning. And Joanna now is fighting Valentina. That's for the flyweight title. That's also going to be in Toronto. So I'm going to guess that's going to be the co-main, and the main is going to be Ortega Holloway.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. The main is Holloway versus Ortega. Co-main is Shevchenko versus Jędrzejczyk.
And what are your thoughts on De La Hoya? He's saying that he said what I'm going to try to do is open up another platform for these guys to have. He gave you props, but he wants to open up, I guess, like another platform.
Hey, listen, you want to get in this business and create revenue for some of these other fighters and build guys up. I love it. Good for you.
Yeah, you don't seem to be too concerned about any other place they can go.
No, it's all good for everybody. I mean, listen, I have a specific type of business, okay? I'm looking for the best in the world. I'm looking for all the best in the world to fight each other to see who the greatest fighter is in every weight class on planet Earth. And then, for other guys that's not their thing, they're not at that level anymore, or, there's places like Bellator likes putting on fights with names, and Rampage and Vanderlei fought for the 4th time, I think. Things like that. There's always a place for other fights. There's always going to be a place for Chuck and Tito to happen. Those aren't the type of fights I do. That's not what I do. We have a completely different model here. So for guys like that, and for people like, listen, Chuck Liddell, I'm sure, would fucking disagree with me big time. and Chuck Liddell wants to fight, well, there's a place for him to do that.
Yeah. So you guys seem to get first crack at everybody anyway, and whoever you want, you guys can pretty much get. Well, look,
but I like finding new young talent.
Sure.
I like searching the world like me and Matt do, and
yes.
And like the Contender Series, we're looking for the biggest, baddest fucking people on planet Earth, men and women, the best in the world, or people who are really talented and believe they can be the best in the world. That's what we're looking for.
Yes.
I'm not out. I'm not out. It's like, oh, I can go get anybody. It's not like I can go get anybody. I'm out looking. I'm searching for the next great thing.
Well, your business model is smart too, because you guys have a farm system almost, which is these young guys coming through, and people become interested in them before they're even in the UFC because they're watching them fight, whether it's on Looking for a Fight or the Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter. So you guys are getting all these guys that are being exposed, and people actually want to see them fight. So by the time they're fighting their first fight in the UFC, there's actually interest for a lot of these guys.
Invested.
Yep. We build stars. Listen to this. So Sean O'Malley came in on the Contender Series, right? And, you know, he's had, I think, 2 fights in the UFC now. This guy, his Contender Series fight alone, 2.1 million people have watched this fight on the Contender Series. 2.1 million people saw that kid's fight before he ever fought in the UFC on the Contender Series. So, that's what we do. We look for young talent and people that we think can be, you know, great fighters, break into the top 10, top 5, or be world champions, and we expose them to the world. That's what we do.
Yeah, that kid's got that it factor too. He's an entertaining kid for sure.
Yes, he does, and a great style. He has a style that people love to watch.
Yeah, he's really fun to watch. It's like watching Zabit. I mean, there's never a boring fight with that guy.
Yep, exactly.
And what about Justin Gaethje? Does he have anything on the horizon for him?
That's another kid. Listen, that's another kid who will fight anybody, unbelievably fucking exciting, and never wants to rest. I think he fought 4 times this year. I think he wants to fight again. Justin Gaethje's trying to fight on the New York card.
He loves it.
Yeah, but that's how you become big. Yeah. Sitting out for a fucking year isn't how you become. You come in and you fight, you stay relevant, you keep beating guys, and you be exciting, and people want to see you. That's Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is my kind of fighter. I love guys like him.
Win or lose, people just enjoy watching.
Exactly, like Arturo Gatti.
Word.
Yeah, even when they lose, it's like it's still a war. Yeah. There's never a dull moment in any. By the way, do you watch Cowboys Instagram and just go, "What the fuck are you doing? Stop."
I've been doing that since I met Cowboy.
He's just one of those guys, man. He has a very high level for dopamine, and it seems like he has to really do a lot to stay interested. Now, are you guys trying to put Zabit versus Yair back together?
Are we trying to put that back together? No, we haven't talked about it.
Okay. All right, Dana. Well, we always love talking to you, and we appreciate the call. And the fact that you're not even 50 yet, you've done a lot more in life. That really depressed me. I just wanted you to know that. You're 49.
He's younger than you, Jimmy.
I know.
Well, this weekend's going to be wild, man. That's all I know.
Yes, it
is. It really is. I'm excited for it, man. This is one of those fights where you have 2 of the very best in the world, 2 of the very best in the sport, facing each other in their prime. Fucking, it's just, you couldn't ask especially for a guy like me, you couldn't ask for a better fucking fight. This is what I live for.
Your co-main is also tremendous. Pettis against Ferg. And a lot of people are not even thinking about Reyes versus Ovince St. Preux. That's a great fight. Volkov versus Lewis. And, of course, to start it off with Felice Herrig against Michelle Waterson. So it's an amazing card. The prelims are great. The Fight Pass prelims are incredible with Ryan LaFleur starting the whole thing off. So we'll see you soon, buddy. And, hopefully everything goes well this weekend. And I cannot wait for this fight.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
I appreciate it.
All right,
Later, Matt.
All right,
Later,
take
buddy.
care, man.
I
don't like that you got a later, Matt, and I didn't get a later, Jim.
I'm close with him.
I know that, but I don't like
close.
it. I'm going to lodge a complaint.
We go traveling together.
I know. I didn't like that.
And I told him, I go, look, I'm not going to bother you till after this huge fight.
Yeah, it's
on
a big
October 6th. And then after that, we're going back on the road because I'm getting itchy.
I'm going to lodge a complaint.
You know? Jimmy,
You should have lodged it with him. That was going to
He hung
talk
up.
to. Oh, yeah.
Listen,
Plus,
man.
I'm just saying that.
Dude,
I'm trying to sound
I'm
cool.
a rap devil. I'll beat your ass.
Dana didn't like all my scenarios. But I was curious. It's like you don't get, as a kid, like you feel like a kid getting to ask the guy who makes the decisions.
Yeah, well, he didn't like it.
Well, he knows.
All right.